Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I left off at my aunt's house, which was extremely haunted, and explained how there was a female spirit that would sometimes appear to the kids or to me when I would go over there. But there was also another spirit that would appear more often, unfortunately, and we believe, we being my family and I, that it was a demon. I briefly explained that this demon took the form of a little person, and I don't mean any offense, to little people, but it really did look like a miniature person when it would appear. I can't really recall how old I was, but what I can recall is how all the kids, like I said before, would be in this guest room, and we would all be jumping on the bed, playing with each other, wrestling, doing what kids do. I can remember one time walking in, and at the edge of the bed to the right side, so one side of the end of the bed, for a split second, I could have sworn I saw a small black shadow, as big as the end of the bed, so as tall as the mattress, so to say. So, mattresses aren't that tall, even when they're on the bed frame, so that can give you a good idea of how tall this figure was. Another time I can remember, we were all jumping on the bed and, being in that room, all the kids, that was just kind of like our escape and hangout. And I remember all of the kids, for some reason, I can't remember what had happened, but we all ended up downstairs and we're all screaming and crying. And I remember my little sister saying that there was like a little man trying to get her. No one really knew what to make of it. How do all these adults try to calm all these kids down while they're screaming about a little man? So basically, I had remembered all of us feeling such terrible anxiety. And all of a sudden, one of the kids screamed, and once you hear a kid scream and run off, little kids all follow in pursuit. And we had run downstairs, and after everyone had calmed down, my sister explained, the best that a little kid could, that there was a small little man in there, a really bad man, and he was trying to get us. My aunt just kind of laughing it off. She never took it seriously. But the one person that took it seriously was my grandmother. My grandmother would take one of the guest rooms. It was a smaller guest room, not the ones that the kids would play in, but she would, sometimes take it when she came in from California. She would sometimes stay for weeks or months at a time with my aunt, and my grandmother would stay in this particular room. I don't really know how to say this part without sounding scary, and this is the story that my grandmother had told us, after this whole incident had happened and that little man showed himself to us. My grandmother had basically said that we couldn't necessarily play up there alone anymore. We had to be really careful because there was a bad man, and she believed that he was demonic. I remember all of us asked her, "What do you mean? You believe us?" And she had basically warned my father and all the elders, which were like the aunts and uncles, that she would be sleeping, especially on her side, in that one other guest room that she would stay in. In the middle of the night, she wouldn't be able to move. And she would see things in that dark room. She would see shapes and figures. Another thing I remember her saying, which to this day absolutely terrifies me. I don't know how someone can go through this and like keep it to themselves, But she had basically said that there have been instances where she would be asleep and she would feel, for example, like if she were on her side, she would feel someone up against her back, kind of like spooning her as if they were the big spoon, and she could tell it was a small person. And she wouldn't be able to move, she wouldn't be able to scream, just pure terror overcame her, paralyzed her. I'm not trying to get into too much detail or sound crazy. I know this sounds totally absurd and unbelievable and unimaginable, but basically it would assault her in a very inappropriate way. It would caress her and just make her feel so ugly about herself. And she would just feel these terrible things overcome her, and she would feel so powerless, and at the same time she would be getting these negative, terrible thoughts. And so she also said that something that really did help was prayer. And I'm not one to preach to you guys. I grew up Catholic. I'm not hardcore Catholic. I do take a lot of the teachings and traditions that I grew up with and apply that when I am finding myself very scared, very frightened when there are ghosts around. So my grandmother always told us, if you do find yourself in the presence of this small demonic man, whatever you do, just pray. I remember talking to my dad about this recently and saying, hey Dad, you know, do you remember the little man at my aunt's house? Yeah, my Aunt Anne's house. And he said, oh, I remember. And my dad told me that one of the things that he remembered in that house and didn't want to tell my sister and I when we were younger was one time he was in the guest room that my grandmother would stay in, and there had been a computer at one point in time in there. And my father said that, you know, he was trying to set up this computer or whatnot, and in the reflection of this computer you could see the doorway that leads into that room. My father said he could have sworn on everything holy and on his whole life that he saw someone walk in. So he turned around and no one was there. I don't really know what to make of it, but I can say that that was a demon, because that was the one entity that I feared more than anything in my life, and I knew that would cause harm. So I don't know what to make of it. I don't know how it got there. I believe that it had just been attached to the house before my aunt had moved in there. And I really do believe that it was responsible for everything dying in that house. I know that, you know, there's also a logical explanation, which was my aunt's incapability of being the cleanest person, but at the same time, I do believe that that's why I would see so many dead things in that house. And I really believe that that negative energy that spirit put out there was just completely horrifying and deadly. So my grandmother believed us, my father believed us, my sister. To this day, if I mention the little man to her, she never really told me in depth what her experience was in that house. And my sister is a very quiet and kept to herself individual, but when you do ask her questions, she does elaborate and relay what she knows or what she can remember. And what she has told me is that she remembers seeing a little man and it coming towards us and feeling nothing but ultimate fear. So that's just what I can really relay and recall from my Aunt Anne's haunted house. If you guys have any, you know, more suggestions that you would like me to talk about, I'd be more than willing to. I have so many family members' ghost stories, and I'm thinking of getting my dad on camera to relay some of his ghost stories growing up. He has a lot of ghost stories from Mexico, when he had stayed in Mexico as a little boy growing up. And those are really scary. I also have a story from my uncle of him witnessing objects levitating. And that also occurred in Mexico. I don't know if it's just me, but some of the most scary ghost stories happen in Mexico. And that's just horrifying. Like, we have things about La Llorona. Like, I was literally told that story when I was like 2 years old, and I had feared her to death. And all these ghost stories are just so relevant, I guess, in the culture that it just, you know, everybody is kind of comfortable to talk about it. Also, recently, not too long ago, I had posted on my Instagram story that I had just seen a spirit. And sometimes I have what I believe are passing spirits in our house, where we'll experience a sudden frequency of paranormal activity. Mainly me, I'll experience it. Sometimes my sister, my dad, and never my mom. And I believe it's because my mom is like, oh, that's not real. And she's the most hypocritical person. Like, I'll bring things in from a thrift store. She'll be like, don't bring it in the house until I bless it. I need to bless it. And she'll literally have it on our doorstep, and she'll be like putting holy water on it. But at the same time, I'll be like, hey mom, I saw this in the house. She'll be like, why don't I ever see it? You're lying. But she believes it more than anyone in the house. But she's never the one to experience it. But recently I was getting ready to go to class, I believe, and this was towards the end of last semester. and I was home alone, of course. And in the hallway, I was going down the hallway to go downstairs, and in order for me to go down the stairs, I had to pass by my bathroom. I can't even describe this without like wanting to cry, but I felt this overwhelming sense or shift in the energy around me, and I stopped right in front of the bathroom and I look in it, and sitting on my toilet, like the toilet seat was down, okay, this wasn't like a ghost going to the bathroom, but sitting on the toilet seat facing the wall was a woman. So her back is to me as she's sitting on my toilet seat, but yet she's facing the wall. And I swear this happened in slow motion. I swear I couldn't hear anymore. But as I'm staring at this woman, you know, I'm trying to take in what she looks like. And she's wearing white. Like, I know it sounds so cliche, but a white gown. And she has kind of like short bobbed hair, okay? Like light brown bobbed hair. And as I'm like realizing this isn't normal and I decide to like run down the stairs, her head shifts to like look at me, but before her and I could look at each other head on, I like ran down the stairs, and like my first instinct was to take out my phone and post a picture on my Instagram story like, well, I just saw a spirit. So actually let me see if I can find it, because and I remember like texting my boyfriend right away and saying, I just saw another spirit. And he was like, oh my god, babe, are you okay? Because he knows that I see these things all the time. Every guy that I've dated, the first thing I tell them is, like, do you believe in like ghosts and spirits? And a lot of them are like, well, yeah, I guess. And I'm like, okay, well, just to let you know, dating me comes with a lot of ghosts and spirits and paranormal activity. I know it sounds really weird right now. I know you probably don't know what I'm talking about. But my friends even tell like my partners that I've had in the past and stuff, yeah, like your girlfriend is like psychic or something, you know, a lot of weird things happen when you're around her. And sure enough, it happens. And so I have so many ex-boyfriends that have like experiences as well, and a lot of them didn't believe until they started dating me. That's just how it is, you know, life is life, and along with that, the undead are a part of your life. Or mine at least, you know, I don't know how other people live without seeing things, because I just see them all the time. A lot of times I just had to ignore it. Like when I saw that girl in the bathroom, I ignored it. I didn't say anything. I didn't even scream. In the moment, I'm just quiet. So let me try to find this. I swear, I have the worst Wi-Fi ever. But I swear I'm telling the truth, I swear. I found it! Okay, so 14 weeks ago, this is a picture of me looking really irritated and upset, but I posted, I just saw a spirit again in my bathroom. So let's try to, I don't know if you could really, okay, well anyways, it's not focusing right there, but basically that's what it says. Yeah, that's just part of a everyday thing in the Garcia household. Well, at least for me. So yeah, that's basically my update. I'm sorry I haven't posted this any sooner. Of course, right when I sit down to post something, everything gets in the way of that. Stay tuned next week. I'll do my absolute best to post more ghost stories. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down below. Whatever you guys want to do, you guys can do. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye!